Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, I'm Kathy. So the hunt for Brian Laundrie is been going on since, he came back to Florida November 1st in a van that didn't belong to him. I believe 6 days later, they went on a camping trip where they hatched a plan as a family. And then on the 14th of September, Gabby Petito was listed as a missing person in Utah. Now there is a believable chance that Brian escaped Florida and is hiding here in Canada. So I have an outdoor Canadian survival handbook that I'm going to read to you and will give you an idea of how rough it is roughing it in Canada in October. It's cold here. It's nothing like Florida. It's not nice. It's October the 3rd. And we're down to about 6 degrees here in Ontario. So it's not ideal weather to be camping outside and living among the wilderness. So this booklet starts out, it says Outdoor Canada Emergency Survival Manual. The introduction. The Outdoor Canada Emergency Survival Manual is not intended to be a comprehensive field guide, but a briefly worded practical aid for use in field situations. More information on such subjects as animal life, camping skills, navigation, or first aid can be found at local libraries. Every effort has been made, however, to assure that this information in the pocket manual is correct. The section on first aid has been reviewed by Dr. Mark, MD, specializing in emergency medical medicine in the University of Toronto School of Medicine. Dr. Mark has been a consultant to Canadian Alpine expeditions to the Himalayas and has acted as an advisor on survival and emergency care for the Canadian Forces Search and Rescue Network. The material on astronomy has been reviewed and corrected by Ian McGregor of the McLaughlin Planetarium of the Royal Canadian Ontario Museum. The Royal Ontario Museum. An extensive library of books on wildlife, wild food, camping, hiking, and other skills were consulted. The text was written for Outdoor Canada by Thomas Pollock. And this book is from 1985, so take it with a grain of salt. Psychological factors. Dangerous opportunity. The philosopher Lao Tzu defined the word crisis as a dangerous opportunity. If you or members of your party are lost, injured, or stranded far from aid, it may help to remember his words. You are confronted by danger, but also by unique chance to test yourself as a person, to discover your inner resources, and to triumph in adversity. How you or your companions meet this challenge depends more than anything else on attitude, on how you think about the situation, and how your thoughts make you feel about the job ahead. Research by psychologists has shown that in times of trouble, used properly, its power can save your life. Allowed you to slip into a panic, it can kill you. Before doing anything else, stop, sit down, and think. What is the most urgent problem? Are you lost in a thick bush? Hungry, frightened, or injured? Has a hunting partner been hurt? Has your canoe capsized, leaving you soaked and stranded? Pick out the most important problem, the one that threatens the most immediate or serious harm, and deal with that first. Set priorities. If you are lost and injured, treat the injury first, then worry about finding your way. If you're wet and hungry, dry off, get warm, then think about food. Take an inventory. What tools or aids, knife, compass, matches, clothing are available? What skills or strengths do you have that can be useful to you now? How should tasks be divided among your group? Can you scavenge parts from a car, a snowmobile, or other jobs? What dangers will you face as time goes on? Is night approaching? A storm building? Temperatures dropping? Make a plan. When people panic, they lose perspective. Minor things become crucial. Major ones are forgotten. There is a tendency to rush from task to task, trying to do them all at once or to choke up and do nothing. Energy is wasted. In an emergency, you can't afford to waste energy. You need it all to overcome obstacles. You need a systematic, methodical plan. As soon as you've decided which are the most urgent problems and the resources at hand, block out a step-by-step plan for using your resources. Keep it simple, then act. There's a lot of... I'm just going to go through this for a second and maybe read some of the important things that are pertinent to this investigation. So this part says navigating by sun and shadows. In daylight, there are several ways to find directions without a compass, the most obvious being to look for the sun. Everyone has said that the sun rises to the east and sets to the west. Actually, the sun rises slightly to the north, left, and due east in the summertime, and sets slightly to the north, right of due west. In winter, it rises just to the south, right of due east, and sets just to the south, left of due west. If you're facing the sun at 6 a.m. on a summer morning, an imaginary line drawn from the sun straight to the ground will be approximately east-northeast. In old-time mariners' terms, your back would be facing west-southwest. Your left hand north-northwest, or your right hand south-northwest, south-southeast. On a winter morning, if you face the sun, you would be facing east-southeast, while your back would be facing west-northwest, and your left hand north-northeast, and your right hand south-southwest. In the old mariner's terms seem confusing, another method can be used. North of latitude, 23.4 N, anywhere between Durango, Mexico, and the Arctic Circle. The sun will always be due south at local noon, and the shadows it throws, though rather short, because the sun is closer to being overhead, will point due north. You can get more detailed directions, even the time of day, by driving a stake into the ground and observing the shadows it throws at different times. It gives a couple of figures. Driving a 4-foot stake into the ground and mark the fore end of the shadows it casts with a short stick. Wait a quarter of an hour until the shadow shifts, then mark the end points of the shadow's new location with another stick. Wait a quarter of an hour. Well, shit, man, I think I just figured out Stonehenge. It's a fucking clock. Huh. Wait a quarter of an hour until the second shadow shifts, then mark the end point of the shadow's new location with another stick. A line from the first short stick to the second will run west, the first stick to east. Another line at right angles to the first line will run north and south. Figure 1. Does it look like Stonehenge to you there? Use the same 4-foot stake to obtain the time of day. After drawing the line to the west to line, After drawing the west to east line mentioned, draw another parallel to the west to east line and intersecting the wooden stake. Then draw a third line parallel to the first two, but on the opposite side of the stake from the west to east line. Now using the stake as a bullseye, draw a larger circle around it whose outside rim touches lines 1 and 3. Use this circle as the face of a clock, and the shadow cast by the stake as an hour hand. The west end of the line, bisecting the stake, corresponds to 6 a.m. and the east to 6 p.m. The south end of the north-south line, draw a stake at the right angles to the right lines will correspond to noon. Figure 2. Just as shadows can be used to tell time, a watch can be used to find directions. Point the hour hand towards the sun. Then draw an imaginary arrow from the center of the watch, face outward, passing through a point halfway between the spot on the dial where the hour hand is pointing and the 12 o'clock mark. The arrow will point south. How to navigate at night. By the stars. You have to be very smart. Now there's another section about injuries, neck wounds, scalp wounds, abdominal punctures, back wounds. How to make a tourniquet, preventing infection. Dislocated, broken bone, fractures. This book has everything: burns and frostbite, hypothermia, choking and artificial respiration, if you're poisoned, if you snake bite, transporting an injured person, keeping warm and dry, finding tinder, teaches you how to draw a teepee and how to make a campfire, fire construction, shelter, fixed shelters, shows you how to make a fire so you can cook stuff, how to make a homemade mattress, water and wild food. Finding water is unlikely to be a major problem for persons in Canada. Our water is healthy. You can probably drink from almost anywhere, unless you're drinking from a puddle. Wild food, wild vegetables, wild meat. You can eat turtles, you can eat snakes and crayfish and clams. If I was to go anywhere, it even teaches you how to catch fish on the current, how to catch a rabbit, snare squirrels, wild vegetables. You can eat dandelions, chicory, purslane, milkweed, cattails, wild grapes, Queen Anne's lace, fiddleheads, rose hips, acorns, pine seeds, and nuts. And then it tells you about poisonous plants. Water hemlock can kill within minutes. As few as 6 red baneberries can kill an unwiny diner. If you are unsure about any identification of a wild plant, don't eat it. It's better to go hungry for a day than to die from eating a wrong berry. Which reminds me of Into the Wild. That's how that guy died, was because he ate wild berries. Signaling for help, which is something Brian would not do. And it tells you about the Morse code. It says the Morse code symbol for SOS is, of course, 3 short, 3 long, and 3 short. In other words, ... dash, 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 ... Travel hazards in the winter, cold, of course. thin ice. We're not there yet. Living dangers. Hostile forces of nature sometimes comes on 4 feet, and among such dangers, bears have the greatest potential for destruction. The 2 likely species to be encountered in Canada are the grizzly and the black bear. The grizzly, whose range is confined chiefly to the west and mountainous areas, is the most dangerous. 9 feet tall with 6-inch claws and a fierce disposition, grizzlies have made numerous fatal attacks on humans. Black bears are less aggressive. On average, 4.5 to 5 feet tall, they're more likely to run than attack if met on a trail. Despite their powerful demeanor, however, black bears have also, despite their peaceful demeanor, not powerful, however, black bears have also attacked humans, and some attacks have been fatal. Whatever the species, wild members of the Ursus family are definitely not teddy bears. It is best to assume any bear encountered while trekking is not Gentle Ben, and the best way is to go away from him. Some precautions to minimize danger in bear country. Do not carry fish. Do not carry food, especially dead fish, on your person or in your tent. 2 boys killed a black bear in Ontario. 2 boys killed by a black bear in Ontario because the bear was hungry and they were toting a stringer of trout. If a bear comes for your catch, give it to him and get the F out of there. 2, be a little noisy, especially in grizzly country. Advertise your presence by avoid surprising a bear and startling him to a sudden attack. Many hikers in the wild wear bear bells, small jingle bells of the type found on Christmas decorations, to warn grizzlies they are coming. 3, store food in bags hung in trees at some distance from your camp. If a hungry bear comes to investigate, the food will be out of reach and so will you. 4, if you meet a bear, stand still, and if he appears nervous or likely to attack. If he appears to relax, move slowly away. If pursued by a grizzly, climb a tree. Adult grizzlies do not climb. Be aware of odors. 5, be aware that odors, including those produced by menstruation or sexual intercourse, attract bears. 5, bears are not the only dangerous animals. Packs of wild dogs, lost and abandoned and forced to fend for themselves, may be fiercer than wolves and less reluctant to attack humans. Moose, especially males, can be extremely aggressive. Many a campsite has been torn up and trampled by an angry bull. The best place to be if you see one coming is behind or up the nearest tree. Skunks are less threatening than big game, but should not be taken lightly. Not only can a skunk produce a truly miserable olfactory experience, but it also may be a carrier of rabies. In recent years, a large number of rabies cases has been confirmed among skunks and red foxes in Ontario and Quebec. If you stumble on such an animal and it makes no effort to run, you should suspect rabies. If the animal staggers or shows other symptoms of the illness, move away. It is quite rare for any wild animals to attack humans. When such incidents do occur, they do so in the face of many odds. Nonetheless, a wise traveler will take no chances. So that's the book. There is an index page that tells you everything, like a fish hook wound, chipmunks are edible, dislocations, psychological factors, a pressure bandage, respiration, a scalp wound. Everything is in here. Let me know your thoughts on the Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito case. I've been very invested in this case since I first heard that Gabby was missing. Nobody deserves to die, especially at the hands of your fiance. Remember, behind every person you know is usually a person you know nothing about. Let's find this bastard and bring him back to justice. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And come find me on my socials. And if you're my one hater who hates everything I do, send this video to your hater. And hopefully that's 2 minutes of their life that they'll never get back. Until next time, this has been me reading the Canadian Outdoor Survival Guide, hoping that Brian Laundrie is not in my country. Thanks, and I'll see you in my next video.